Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It is me, the Mysterious Cameraman, and today we're going to be talking about Arrow's second court case. So, a few months ago, we did our first ever criminal law video, and that was talking about if Arrow is really a villain. And what that video was pretty much focusing on was, well, if Arrow, what makes Arrow a villain? Is Arrow really a villain? Based on the fact that in season 1, he killed 55 people. Since then, I've rewatched both seasons 2 and 3 along with 1, and today we're going to be retrying Arrow, except we're going to be talking about all 3 of the first seasons instead of just season 1. And we're going to be discussing whether or not he would be guilty or innocent, also adding not just the first season, but we're going to be taking things from all 3 seasons. So we're not going to be ignoring what we decided in the first season, we're going to be taking things from every single of the first 3. Yeah, before we get into it, if you want to join the Google Classroom, please do. I think it's a very interesting idea so you guys can learn more about this topic. So yeah, you should do that. And let's jump right into the video. Alrighty, so I think there's a few definitions we probably need to go through first before we get really into everything. So firstly, we have to discuss what first-degree murder is. And that is the most important thing, and very simply all that is if you kill someone with premeditation. So the biggest example we always use is from Arrow, which is every time he aims the bow. Every single time he aims his bow in any way, that is first-degree murder. Because obviously it's to shoot it, but anytime he aims and shoots his bow, that is enough premeditation to kill someone. However, what we also said was with Malcolm Merlyn that isn't first-degree murder when he uses the undertaking, because he doesn't choose who he's killing, so that's going to be more manslaughter, but I think you can make an argument for first-degree murder. So, for Arrow, what would you say for the first season? We said he would be guilty. We did say that. But I looked through the list of everyone Arrow kills in seasons 2 and 3. In season 2, he kills 5 people, but not all of those are confirmed, and 3 of them are henchmen who have Mirakuru in them. So I think it's a little unfair to count the Mirakuru henchmen, because they're just so strong that he didn't really have a choice but to kill them. And once you get the virus, I don't think they're really seen as human. So we're not really going to focus on those. But then he also kills 2 other henchmen, and not henchmen, 2 other villains, and we're not sure if he actually kills them, but if so, that's 2 deaths. And in season 3, it's very similar. He kills a few League of Assassins members, but most of the time he's just not killing people, or that's it. So he really hasn't killed many people, so would he be guilty or innocent if you're counting those everything he does in the first season? Because a big thing we're going to talk about in this video is when he's hunted in season 3, and if that is legally justified, or if they literally couldn't do that, and all his charges should be dropped. So let's talk about that. Hey guys, so I'm back. I just filmed the entire video, very happy with it, and the entire footage just got freaking lost. Boy, I'm pissed off right now. So, I might make this a little bit shorter, I might not, I don't really know, but I am annoyed right now, so let's jump right back into this. I don't even know where I left off, I'm gonna be honest, this is gonna be a jumbled mess here. So, I believe we left off talking about Arrow, and could he be found guilty of his crimes in season 3? So, very simply, yes, he could be, but circumstances also say no, he can't be. So, in the next few minutes, we're going to be talking about mainly the police. If the police arrested Oliver, if things got forward, what would happen then? That's a big thing we're talking about. And another thing is if the League of Assassins can be found liable, the amount of murders Oliver commits, morality, all that stuff. So we're going to start the morality one. So, even though Oliver commits 55 murders-ish in his first season, could his good deeds in the second and third season, stopping the Mirakuru army, infiltrating and destroying the most powerful assassin league in the entire world, could all of those things have happened? Could all of those things that have happened make up for all of Oliver's crimes in season 1? And Morale-wise, you could say yes. Oliver did his penance. He served the city. He made up for his crimes. However, legally, no, that's not how it works. Even though Oliver did some good deeds, and a jury and a really good defense could find some loopholes to give Oliver an edge, there really isn't anything Oliver can do in this scenario, because he is in a situation where, anything he says will go against him, but anything he did in his first season is still going to be held against him, because he was he was tried for his first 5 episodes as the Arrow, so fine for that. But for the rest of the season, none of that is charged, so all of that's still against him. So all of that would still be used, and it wouldn't make up for anything that happens with seasons 2 and 3. That just isn't how the law works. Obviously, you could find a few loopholes. I'm not going to be discussing that here, though, because that just isn't what I'm talking about. But what we're going to be discussing next is, could the League of Assassins be held for the crimes that Oliver commits? Sorry about that. So what I mean by that is, if you think about the World Wars, in World War II, if a member of the losing army, if you know what I'm talking about, many people in that army were charged with crimes for being a part of that group. Because I don't fully know every single detail, so I'm not going to go into full depth with it. But I know a lot of people were charged with crimes just because they were part of that group. So, but the group itself was not fully charged. Was the higher ranks charged with more? Yes. But the people in the lower ranks, people like Oliver, could they still be, is it on their own accord, or is it on the accord of the group? So is Oliver's actions on Oliver, or are they on the League of Assassins? Sorry, I'm just having trouble phrasing this one. And you could say they're on the League of Assassins because they're brainwashing Oliver, but there's 2 reasons that they're not. Number 1 is the reason I already said, and the second reason, more importantly, is the fact that we find out Oliver was never under the influence of the League of Assassins. And we know this because he still has his brain intact and all that. So because of that, Oliver can never use that excuse, and therefore would still be liable for all of his crimes in the League. Luckily, we don't see him murder too many people, and even if he does, hopefully we'll never find out that he murdered those people. But any actions he commits in the League would go against him. But luckily, most people don't know about them, so we're not going to fully be talking about them much, because there's so much gray ground in that area. Because he does lose his name and all that stuff, so you could really go a lot of different ways with something like that. If you wanted to see a strict court case on the League of Assassins, I could, but depends how good this video does. Quick pause. Thank you guys so much for helping the Vigilantism video do well. It's 1.4 thousand views at this point. Also, shocked me because of that 3 views for multiple days, and then it blew up. So thank you all for that. And yeah, sorry for the break. So now we're going to talk about the fun thing, which is the police. Because the police arrest Oliver, we're now going to jump into hypotheticals. If Oliver was brought to a court and was found guilty of everything he did in the first season, as well as mostly the things that the copycat archer did, if he went to an appealed trial and everyone played everything right, Oliver could not go to prison, and any charges against him would be dropped. And the reason why that would happen is there's many reasons. But number 1, the prosecution needs evidence, not just that they saw the arrow kill those people, but on the physical arrows, they must have DNA of Oliver. If they do not have that, there's no evidence for them to prove that the copycat archer was Oliver. Oliver would also have to testify saying that he isn't the copycat archer to make it so that they couldn't say, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. If he says he isn't the copycat archer, they must have physical evidence that he is the archer, or they can't do anything. So if they don't have his DNA on those arrows, they could, but if they don't, or they have the DNA of someone else, they can't charge Oliver. And that's a very big thing, because they don't have that evidence. They just have, I saw the green arrow kill those people, which is fine if that's what you believe. But that isn't how it works, because they need the physical evidence to charge Oliver. The second thing is they can't just say, the law's in my hands, I saw Oliver do it, he must be charged, because that isn't how it works. And if this happened and Oliver did go to prison, and they found out that that wasn't true, all charges against Oliver would be dropped, including what happened in the first season, which means that anything that Oliver did prior to the end of season 3 would be dropped, and therefore, when he's arrested in season 6, he can only be on charges from seasons 4 and 5 and 6. Obviously, this never happened in the show, so I'm not going to be talking about this in my season 6 Arrow retrial. We have a lot of Arrow videos with retrials here, but it's just so fun and easy to do. So, if we're thinking about all this, could Arrow, and I'm just going to say, we're not going to be talking about all the stuff I spoke about in my Vigilantum is Villainy video. I'm not going to be talking about Kylo v. Ren, or Cats v. Kylo v. United States, or Cats v. United States. I was thinking of a different case with Ren. But, that's not what we're charging Oliver with. Sorry about that again. Yeah, I'm not going to be talking about that here. I could do that again. I might do a second part to why Vigilantum is villainy, but I'm not going to be talking about that here because it's not in my notes, very simply. But could Oliver... Now we're going to get to, we're not going to be doing, our final thoughts just yet. I'm going to say one more thing first. If Oliver was to go to prison for his crimes in seasons 1 to 3, and they found, and after he's in prison, they find that it was a copycat Archer who did everything, could Oliver stay in prison? And it obviously depends on what happens in the court case. It depends what they argue, but either his evidence would be, everything that happened would be cleared, or his term in prison will be shortened. Because the biggest crimes that he's being arrested for in season 3 are the murders of people like Mayor Castle, which, if we find out that he didn't do, which we know he didn't do, then he can't be arrested for as much as he is, which would lead to certain things being dropped, and could possibly drop his crimes from season 1. And before we get into the final thing, one more thing. Sorry, I keep delaying it. In season 3, if Oliver did things correctly, he could have still gotten things dropped even if he wasn't arrested. Because once he proves... Well, he is arrested, actually. He goes to prison. So, let me actually talk about that, because I kind of, blanked on that for a second. I just remembered. Roy is arrested as Arrow and goes to prison and dies. If Roy stayed in prison, stayed alive, even though we know he doesn't die, I'm not talking about that. If he stayed in prison, and it came out that it wasn't Roy or Oliver who killed those people, Roy would be set free. The crimes that Oliver commits in season 1 would be wiped, and then he couldn't be arrested for that much in season 6. I'm going to talk about more once I rewatch seasons 4, 5, and 6 as a whole, and then say, could he be arrested in season 6 again? But we still have a few months until that happens. So, don't get your hopes up for that happening too soon. But they kind of played, yes, they wanted Roy to get out of prison and clear the Arrow's name so that they can restart as the Green Arrow in season 4. Another thing we're going to be discussing in season 6 when he's arrested. But when he does, if he didn't die, then everything against Oliver would pretty much be dropped unless you had a really terrible lawyer. Because they can very clearly see, if he didn't do this, and we find out he didn't do this, then everything against the Arrow has to be dropped, which would drop the crimes against Oliver, which would be very beneficial for both Oliver, for Roy, and for that entire team. However, because he dies, technically, all charges of the Arrow should be dropped. Once Roy dies, the Green Arrow should be a new start. So, we're going to talk more about that in season 6. I don't remember if Oliver admits to doing everything as both the Arrow and Green Arrow. I don't remember that. But we'll talk about that in a little while. But that is a big thing that we're going to be discussing once we get to all that. Yeah, it's a crazy show. Let's get into the final verdict. At this point, we're not going to be discussing very much, could he be found innocent or guilty. We said that this entire video. In theory, he would be found guilty the first time, not the second time. However, because there's so many hypotheticals because of what ifs that happened, because Roy went to prison and died, and then if Oliver went to court, like, so many things happened. But I'm not really going to be talking about that much. Also, Roy never got a trial. I don't think he did. That's a little bit weird. But unless he was going to get a trial and die before the trial, which also would have led to so many other things coming out. We have a lot to talk about. And one more thing. Because they never proved that the copycat Archer isn't Roy, those are currently permanently against Arrow's record because it's now the Green Arrow. So, I don't know. I have to rewatch season 6 at this point. Yeah, lots going on. So, we're done with our innocence or guilty part of this video, officially. We're now going to move to the moral part. Is he a hero or a villain in seasons 1 to 3 of Arrow? Please stop beeping! Sorry about that. This is a very rough video. It's currently 10:47 on the first day of 2025. It hasn't even been 12 hours, and I'm already a little annoyed. So, yeah, I'm going crazy. This is going to be a fun new year. But, could he be a hero or a villain? And this is, I'm going to say what I say every single time. It's obviously up to you. It depends what your personal morals are. Do you believe that this would be something that someone could be found innocent or guilty for? For me personally, I believe that Arrow would be a hero after seasons 1 to 3. I said after season 1 he would be a villain, and many of you in the comments agreed with me. However, seasons 1 to 3, does he commit crimes? Yes. However, it's to such a minimum. And we're not talking about Kylo v. Ren or Kylo v. United States or I don't know why I keep saying Kylo v. Ren. Oh my god, I'm thinking Kylo Ren. Or Cats v. Ohio. We're just talking about his murder stuff. He really doesn't commit many crimes in seasons 2 and 3. And the good he does, in my opinion, makes him a hero, and because he changed his ways, makes him better from season 1 Oliver. So in my opinion, he's a hero. I completely understand though if you say he's a villain, but that's my final thing. Besides that, I'm way too tired to be filming this video. Sorry it was a little bit scrappy, but yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.